Last call. Any final examples?
Laurent?
I don't have like any ideas, but judging from what I hear from everybody else's like opinion, like they're all very good options to like take upon, because needing those abilities, we can really help like our community, and like how it could shift towards like to Canada and to Congo, how it could be more easy, how it could be more easier for all Congolese to like enjoy a better life whenever they settle down around. But yeah, overall, these are very good options, and I agree with every single one of them.
Awesome. How many of you feel like you could actually start working towards one of those projects? I see a hand up. Yeah. You can put like thumbs up if you put your thumbs up button if you don't want to turn on your camera or say anything. How many thumbs up? People see one thumbs up. I can't see everyone at once. 2 thumbs up, 3 thumbs up, 4 thumbs up. Yeah, people feel like they can. That's awesome. I think lots of times like people sort of like be like, oh, it's a problem out there and it's not something I can tackle. And so that's awesome that you guys think that those are things that you can tackle. And like I said, like it doesn't have to be a really big thing all at once. It's like, how do we start making motion towards this? How do we do, and how does that then build into something else? And how can that cause something else? The next question is, here, I'll put it up. Can you guys, is my screen in like presentation mode, or are you still seeing my notes and like everything as well?
We can see the notes.
The notes as well. Okay. If I do this, can you see just the presentation? No? Yeah, okay. Cool. Okay, so let's say you were going to start one of these, or we are going to start, or this group is going to start, or some group of youth is going to start working towards one of these projects. What are some of the things that you would need to think about to like take one of those project ideas forward? So it said like, hey, I've got this idea, and we don't have to pick a specific one right now. We're going to pick a specific one in a minute. But what are some of the things that you need to start thinking about in order to like make that project become not just an idea, or like hey, that's a good idea. But what would you actually start to need to think about to make that become reality?
I think the most important thing is like the financial help. I think that's the most important. Without the financial help, I don't think anything, like I think everything will be stagnant if you don't have the financial help there.
Cool. Any other thoughts?
Yeah, and we will also need to find more resources and more connection, more people who are more connected to whatever we're going to pick, you know?
Mm-hmm. What else? Things you need to think about.
Building like a group, like support. You need support from your community and people around you, and have the same idea, like a movement, just to create something, you know, because one person alone won't be able to do it.
Yeah.
Cristiano, before you were saying you like entrepreneurship a lot, you're a business person. What do you think about this? What are some things that we would need for the project design side of things?
I think we need some social marketing, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're just, if you're trying to engage people, you need a way to communicate with them. You need a way to get that message out there. You need things that are going to help you connect, and you can't just connect without communications and marketing and stuff like that. Good one. What else? No other thoughts?
Maybe establishing a headquarters would also be pretty useful.
How come?
Because it's easier to meet if you have your own building and have people come to you instead of always having to look for a location and then have to go to everybody else.
Yeah, that's part of like the resources and things that you need to do the work. Anything else anyone wants to throw out there? That's it. So if we got finances, we got resources, we got connections, we got people, we got marketing, we got a building, then we're gonna, all of a sudden we're gonna have a tutoring program, and we're gonna have mental health supports in Congo, and we're gonna have all those things just by pulling all that together. What else might we need? Okay, well, you're in luck. I have a whole list of things to think about. I'm going to put this actually in presentation mode now. So here's some things. This is like a long laundry list. There's actually probably way more. There's a lot to think about when you're starting a social entrepreneurship project or an activity. And I think a lot of times people like they sort of jump right to that, like resources, and here's what we need, and here's what's on the ground. But sometimes maybe don't do some of the like pre-thinking or sort of bigger picture thinking that might be really useful in getting towards it. So I put some of those things there to start, and then later down the bottom, I get to some of the things that you guys have brought up and caught up there too. So the first one I have is like desired impact, like getting really clear about like what is the actual change that we're trying to create. That's like a really important part of project design, and making sure that everyone on your team is like really in the same, because if someone's like, oh, I thought we were doing this, and someone else is like, oh, I thought we were doing this, then you're going to have trouble down the road, right? Or when you get to a point where there's lots of questions being asked, or you have to make decisions, it's a lot easier if you have a clear vision for where you're going, and what that change is that you're trying to create. Another important one is really understanding that community need or opportunity. And Levi talked about this before, but so many people jump in with solutions first without really understanding like what's already happening, what's already working towards this. Maybe I just don't know about some of the stuff that's already going on, what's been successful, or what's been similar things that have worked, or what's really not working. There's a quote, I don't know if it's Albert Einstein or who it is, but they said, if I had a problem to solve and I had a certain amount of time to do it, or like 100 minutes to do it, I'm totally making this up, I'm misquoting, but I would spend like 90 minutes or 95 minutes of that time, like understanding the problem better. And then 5 minutes actually coming up with the solution. Because if I understand that problem really well, I know my solution is going to be a good one. But if I just jump in with a solution, chances are I'm like missing some really important information. And it's not actually the right solution or the right thing to go forward with. So making sure that you really understand what is that community need or opportunity, and where is it coming from? Is it something that just I think needs to happen, or are there other people that think that needs to happen too? How can I get input and thoughts from others and know that that's something? And could be research, it could be questions, it could be all kinds of things. The next one is value proposition. So if I know that these are the needs, or these are the gaps, what's the value, like what's the unique thing that my project or my activity is bringing to that? And why is that different? A big difference between, I think, social entrepreneurship and like business entrepreneurship is that in business entrepreneurship, it's very competitive, right? You're all trying to be the best and to make the most money and to like edge out your competitors. Whereas in social entrepreneurship, when it's all about sort of creating change in community, you don't necessarily have to compete with everyone who's around you, especially people who have similar goals and ideas. You don't have to be, the number one business. Like, you want to kind of fit into that collaboration. If someone else is already doing something, why does it make sense for you to do the same thing? Maybe it's better for you to do something different that would actually complement what someone else is doing. And I think we see that. When I worked in Malawi in the water and sanitation sector, there were like NGOs coming in and building wells like right next to broken wells next to them, right? And it's like, well, that's a pretty big waste of money. You could like fix that broken well for like a very small fraction of the cost than it costs to put in this new well. But people didn't take the time to really understand what people needed. They didn't need a new well. They needed the well that was there to be fixed. They were just focused on like, people need clean water, we're going to put in wells because that's what we think they need. And so that like really understanding What is it that you can provide that's unique or that like really adds to that overall thing is really important. A big part of that is understanding the stakeholders and who's affected by it, you know, and it could be, you know, like a lot of the things when you guys brought forward, you sort of said like, here's like, I want to, you know, there's a really obvious stakeholders, like someone who doesn't understand English. They're the one that, you know, is that I'm doing this project for, or, you know, we want to raise the profile of Black women in visual arts. But there's also other stakeholders who maybe aren't, you know, the ones directly being affected, but maybe have interest in it or connections to it. You know, maybe teachers would be really interested in being connected or involved or supporting some sort of tutoring initiative, because it makes their job easier if their students, you know, have access to extra supports outside of their classroom. So who are the different people that might be involved or connected, and why might that be important? Another thing to think about is the activities. Like, what are you actually going to do? What is that? Like, you can have like, this is the problem, but you need to think about like, what's the actual steps and things you're going to do. Team members and roles, who's going to do what. Learning, I think that's a really important one too. What do you need to find out about your project? We don't all know everything, right? And there's some things you do know and some things you don't, and that's okay. It doesn't mean you shouldn't go forward until you know every single thing, but it's important to recognize what you don't know and find ways to build that learning. And it can be through talking to people, it can be through doing research, it can be in all kinds of ways. And then, yeah, budget. So once you know all that stuff, then you can start putting together a budget and thinking about, okay, what's this all going to cost? What do we need to have? What are the resources? You know, do we need an office space or don't we need an office space? You know, do we need a truck? Do we not need a truck? What are the things we need and how much are they going to cost? And once you know that, then it's starting to think about funding, like how are you going to pay for all this? Where's the money going to come from? Is there someone who's willing to, you know, are there donors that are going to do it? Is it something that you want to charge for a service to do? Where's that funding going to come from? And the last one I have is evaluation. And I think this one's a really important one. I'm going to talk a little bit more about it because I think it's unique to social entrepreneurship. Because in business, success, what's success of a business? Success of a business is you make a lot of money. But in a social entrepreneurship, making a lot of money isn't your primary goal. You have some other goal that you're really trying to work towards and achieve. Sometimes you make money while doing that, and that's fine. But there's something else you're trying to achieve. And you have to be able to tell if you're being successful, because if you're trying something, especially if you're still learning and understanding and it's not working, then you don't want to just keep doing it. And that happens a lot too, I think, is that when there's you know, something's not going right, it's like, well, that's our plan, so we're going to just keep doing that because that's what we plan to do. But if you have things telling you, hey, this isn't actually helping us to get where we want to be, then you can change and you can pivot and say, okay, let's try something else. You know, we tried, you know, sending out postcards to everybody and getting them to go onto this website and vote, but nobody went to the website and nobody sent the message to their MP. So we need to try a different way. Maybe let's try going to the mall and talking to a bunch of people. But if you don't have that information and you don't know what you're looking at to tell if you're being successful or not, then you're going to just keep sending out those postcards and getting no feedback, right? And so evaluation, I think, is so important in social entrepreneurship stuff, in that you can see if what you're doing is having the desired impact that you want, because it's not as easy as just, did we make a lot of money? Or how much money did we make? Any thoughts on any of those questions? That was a lot of me talking, sorry. Does that all make sense? I'm going to share two more things and then I'll get you guys to, actually, we're going to try some of this out. So this is a little bit what I was talking about in terms of a planning and evaluation cycle. And I think it's really important. And especially, we talked about some of that gentle action stuff a few weeks ago, where, you know, you're doing little things to try and impact a big change, but you don't ever actually know if those little changes are actually going to where you want to be. And so this cycle is something that can help you get there. And it's kind of what I was just talking about with that evaluation, is that you start with a plan, you start doing some of the stuff in that plan, then you look at that evaluation, that that information, that feedback, that whatever it is, and says, you know, what's changing from us doing this? Are we getting closer to where we want to be? You know, are there more students who have English skills than they did before? Is there more conversations happening about mental health than there were before? If yes, like, what did we learn from that? And how can we bring that into our plans? Maybe we do more of it. Maybe we, take this somewhere else and do it there too. If it's not working, what do we need to change? What are some things that we learned that didn't work? And how do we change our plans so that they can be more effective? And then let's try that. And I think that's a really important part of social entrepreneurship projects. And there's so many tools and resources and different ways that you can do that. This is a list. So yeah, to me, evaluation is like a bit of that like question of like, how do we know? So we're going through this cycle and saying like, how do we know what needs to be done? Who are we talking to? When stuff happened, like, how do we know that happened? What's the evidence that we have? What changed? How do we know that? And so evaluation lets us get all that information. And there's so many different ways you can do it, through discussions and conversations, through impact or through input, through stories, through quotes, through stats, through surveys, through counting different things and outputs that you've done. You know, if we, like I said, on that website, we've got this many hits on our website, that's evidence that we're making progress. And those are all really important things. And yeah, there's lots of tools to like kind of help you go through that cycle. I'm gonna wrap up now and stop rambling and share this last tool. This is a tool, it's a planning tool that helps think through a bunch of those questions. And it's something that, I'll put this in, it helps to think through, and there's different versions of this. This is one of the ones I like. It doesn't have all the things that are on my list. Different ones sort of have different ways, and people set them up in different ways. But it's a tool that helps you kind of think through and how those different aspects, and also how they're all connected, right? Because you can see that like these channels are like your communication channels, and they connect your value proposition in the center to your customers. So if these are all our customers here, and customers could also be like stakeholders, these are all the people that we're connecting with or involving in the project in different ways, or that are being impacted by it. How are we communicating with them? And there's our challenges, or our channels, sorry. And then we can check and see, like, is that, you know, having the impact that we want it to? Is that achieving our purpose? What's the problem that we're trying to solve exactly? Can we put that in really clear words? And then how is our solution going to do that? So yeah, I don't know, how are we for time, Ike? Did I go way over?
It's 7:18. How much more time did you need? It's okay, we can.
My thought was that like I have this in a Jamboard, and I thought we could try it and take one of those project ideas and actually like start putting some ideas out there around like let's say we picked the tutoring initiative or something like that. Like, what are some of the customers that we'd have? What are some of the communication channels? And actually kind of do it together as a group and run through this. I don't know if we have time for that.
We can go ahead and try it, yeah. And then
okay. We'll just do it for like 10 minutes at the most, maybe. And then we're not going to get it all out there, but just to sort of play around with it and try. Is that okay? So yeah, let's take a quick which of those projects do we want to do this with? Let's pick one of them. Is there one that's like people are super passionate about? Whoever speaks first and loudest wins.
Raisa, go ahead.
I didn't mention it, but it just came to my mind. So it's not on the list.
Oh, okay, go for it.
Yeah, I wanted to mention maybe we can have a center here in Canada or in Calgary for, I don't know, either African in general or Congolese people. And like we can have social workers, lawyers, and all that in the center. Because I don't think we really have that, like an immigrant shelter, you know, immigration shelter. I mean, we might have, but like specifically for our community.
That's my lifelong dream, Raisa.
Really?
That's my goal for like all of this. If we can
No way.
and get that's such oh man, great idea. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. How do people feel about that idea? That I like it because I've always wanted one of those, but can go ahead and look at the list as well, see how everybody feel about Raisa's idea or another one that was mentioned before. Any other opinions?
Any other opinions? I'm not hearing any. I can put that list back up, but should we do that just to
I see the list.
Yeah, let me pull it back up. Hold on, give me 2 seconds. I have to share my screen. There's so many steps involved with this. Share screen, pick the right one. There we go. Share, and then find the right slide. There we go. Oh, where'd it go? Here it is. These are the ones that I wrote down. Can you see that? Okay. And I'll add center, like an immigration center. Is that right? Is that what you're?
Like a community center?
Or a community center?
Like a shelter. That's what she was saying for new immigrants who come and don't have where to go to begin with, where they can stay.
Is that what you're saying, Raisa? You're there. I heard like shelter, but maybe you can clear, like I heard community center, less shelter, but you can clear things up for us.
So a community shelter would be fine. A center too. I mean, I don't really mind.
See, this is exactly why it's so important to be really clear on what your vision is that you're working for, because otherwise you get different people who all understand the same thing really differently.
A shelter is more like, how do I say this? Recevoir les gens, right? Okay, then yeah, I'm on the shelter part then.
Mais recevoir les gens comme les gens like sans abri. Tu connais?
Yeah.
Okay.
Comme centre d'accueil.
People, yeah.
People, a welcome center, I think.
Yeah.
Welcome center, yeah.
People that are new, they don't know where to go, they don't know what to do, how to get a job, how to get a house, all that.
Yeah, that's more of a welcome center than a shelter.
Okay, do we want to go with that one, or do you want to? Is that good? Should we just go ahead with that? So we have a welcome center for people who are newly arrived to Canada. So I just in the chat, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. In the chat, I put a link. If you can click on that link, it's going to take us to a Jamboard. And on that Jamboard, you should see that canvas. And we're going to start talking through sort of these different parts. So maybe let's start with the purpose. And you can add a sticky note. Let's start with the purpose or the impact. So the purpose would be like, why are we doing this? And the impact would be more like, what's the change, like the specific changes that we're going to see. It's subdivided, but we won't get into the specifics of the small subgroups for today's purpose. So either like, why are we doing this? And then what's the change that we actually want to see as a result? So maybe let's start with those two boxes. Anyone thoughts on why would we want to start that center and what's some of the impact that people would want to see?
Sorry, Alyssa, I was trying to access the link, the Jamboard, but it's you need access.
Yeah, I didn't put it on public. Give me 2 seconds. I'll send you a different link that's public. I did that before. I should have learned my lesson. Okay, here comes the new link. Okay, try. Did that work? I think that worked. Oh, just showing as one message. Okay, it is there. It's the last one I sent. If you click on like the last line of the link, it should take you there. Sweet, I see you guys. There's a anonymous panda and moose and alligator. Sweet, so you all have different sort of things you can, so on the left side, there's a sticky note button, so you can add a sticky note and then put in any thoughts that you have. And then you'll have to like make it the right size a bit. But yeah, let's start with that top, the purpose and impact. So for this center, what's the purpose of the center? Do you think? Any ideas?
I think it would be to, oh, sorry, go ahead, Judy.
Oh, no, you can go ahead. You can go ahead.
No, that's okay, you can go.
I was just going to say the center, the community center, the purpose would be like an outreach, like a type of outreach program to assist newcomers, like Congolese newcomers, or is it for everyone?
Let's say for the community. Let's say for the Congolese community, or the
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, it would just be like an outreach center for where you can find resources and assistance for the Congolese community.
Those, I'm going to put them in separate things because they resources. You guys can add things too if you want. I'm putting them as separate just because you may, like, as you go along, you might be like, oh, we're doing really well with assisting people, you know, but less about like sharing resources or things like that. Other purposes? Is there other purposes that you see for this?
I was going to say, because you also mentioned lawyers and stuff. So I was going to say, like, to increase or protect the upward mobility of Congolese immigrants.
Cool. Oh, thanks, whoever put that. Sweet. I'm going to put yours. Any other purposes?
What about to like host events, community gatherings, celebrate high points and low points, center of the village, a gathering point?
Sweet.
I really like the idea, but yeah, to add on the purpose, I think it will be to offer a safe lending experience and early guidance to everyone who lends. I remember when I landed, I did not know where is north, south, east, and west. It was a very interesting experience. Not bad. I was prepared for it, but yeah, it will be to offer them, you know, safe lending experience to guide them around, give them the first orientation. What you need to do, where to get your social insurance, where to get your new SIM cards, and so on.
Great, those are lots. And see, like even just by having this conversation, we're getting clear on offer a sense of belonging in the community. I love that as a purpose. Have a place where you feel like you connect. Okay, let's move on just because of time. I think we could probably go on for a while, but impact. So impact would be like what's going to change as a result? What are some of the changes that you expect to see by having this center there?
We might have like fast results from our community. Fast results, that means so
what kind of results?
When we first came, like Papa Levi said, we did not know anything about Calgary, but fast results by like getting a house quicker, example, job quicker, you know, just engaging in the community quicker.
It reduced the amount of disorientation. Sorry.
I was going to say, was gonna say like a growing community, like seeing the Congolese community grow.
Papa Daniel, je te vois aussi. Tu peux parler?
Ah oui, moi je me mets à la place, je pense que je suis le dernier arrivant d'ici. S'il y avait un centre, comme on le dit, s'il y avait un centre, pour moi, l'impact cela aurait eu, ce serait par exemple ma visée sur comment se comporter, comment faire ici, comment ça se passe, comment se préparer à la sortie, parce que il y a les petites choses telles que comment se comporter en hiver, quand tu as un véhicule en hiver, toutes ces informations par rapport à la ville qui permettent l'intégration dans une communauté.
Wow.
Cela, si j'étais là, s'il y avait un centre comme ça m'aurait permis de savoir comment postuler, comment est-ce que le système du travail se passe au Canada. Au Congo, par exemple, il y a une heure de début de travail et une heure de fin, mais on ne pointe pas. Genre, on a une carte où tu pointes. Toutes ces informations-là, au lieu que, par exemple, quelqu'un de la communauté se retrouve dans un travail nouveau, il ne sait rien faire. C'est vrai qu'on va le coacher, mais s'il a ces informations-là au préalable avant, ça lui permettra de se tenir tête haute dans une entreprise disant que je connais quelque chose pour ne pas sortir comme quelqu'un qui vient de tomber du ciel ou bien qui vient d'une autre planète. S'il y avait un centre comme ça pour moi, ce que ce centre-là m'aurait permis de comprendre est qu'il y a une grande communauté, que tu n'es pas seul. Par exemple, en cas de maladie, qu'est-ce que je ferais en cas même les simples choses que l'on considère 911, toutes ces petites choses-là qui sont à la disposition, mais je pense que ça peut aider quelqu'un, ça peut sauver des vies, ça peut révolutionner une mentalité et ça peut faciliter l'intégration d'une personne. Et je pense que s'il y avait un centre comme ça, les gens auraient eu, ou bien nous aurions des informations à la source qui nous permettront de s'intégrer dans la société ou de s'intégrer dans cette ville de Calgary. Donc pour moi, si ce centre-là existait, ça m'aurait permis de faire beaucoup de choses, ça m'aurait permis de gagner en temps et en énergie. Là où j'aurais titubé, j'allais juste prendre les informations à la source des personnes qui sont déjà là et directement m'intégrer par rapport à certaines choses. C'est un peu ce que j'avais à dire.
I'm just going to translate a little bit. I'm not going to capture everything, but overall, just the idea. So he's saying that for him, he's putting himself out here as being probably one of the most recent arrivals. And the fact that this center doesn't exist for him, like had an impact on him on the energy and the time he spent integrating himself. There's a lot of things that you don't know to look up, or there's a lot of things that you won't really think to kind of know, or like there isn't a one-stop shop where you can go to just receive a whole bunch of information, things like applying for jobs, what work culture is, certain do's and don'ts, even do's and don'ts about driving in kind of winter, like having a place where you can go and you feel like you can be supported, feeling like you're not alone, feeling like if you have problems, even there's other people who can come and kind of help you out there. So in that sense, he says that it would go a long way in order to be able to have a place where you can get good information from the source without having to kind of paint a picture yourself or figure things out yourself. So that was a really, really good point for new arrivals. Maybe if we can think of even for youth, what would it change for youth if there was a center where there could be tutoring, or there could be mentorship, or there could be practice space for performance, or practice space if you're a basketball player, things like that. Can we take that lens and try to put a couple of things down?
You're talking.
I think that's also.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead, please.
I had a question about your question. Are you talking in terms of immigrant youth that are arriving in Canada and need support? Is that what you mean?
I'm just talking in terms of like the community, like Congolese youth or Black African youth, or it doesn't necessarily have to be just immigrants coming here, but it can be, absolutely, but we can make it a bit more broad and say generally for Congolese youth or generally for Black youth? What would that impact kind of be?
And that's, so I'm going to jump in there, sorry, with like, we'll come back to what you asked, but that's like a good thing. Like with this tool, you don't necessarily just go in one quadrant and then the other. Like you kind of can jump back and forth. You're like, oh, we're having questions about like who are the customers, you know, who are the stakeholders that are involved? Is it just Congolese youth, or is it, you know, all immigrant youth, or is it Black youth, or, you know, who are we actually talking about here? And so then you can start capturing things in other places as well. And I'm going to capture the other things that you said, Ike. But let's go back to your question. What would be some of the impact for those stakeholders too?
Jolie, I see your hand.
Yeah, I was gonna say like one of the impact for this would be it would be like a safe place for young people to, you know, hang out and, you know, make new friends and like staying out of trouble. And it'll just give them something to do. And so it'll kind of improve like this current situation that we have right now with the increase in drug use and alcohol, with especially now with the whole COVID situation going on, it's been even worse. But I think it would just improve and keep a lot of young people safer if we had like a community center, because they'll have a safe place to come and hang out instead of going and doing other things we don't know where. And then, yeah.
Great point. Papa Ndembe, were you saying something?
Oh no, I was saying that's good, and maybe I will just say that as youth, I mean, concerned, I think that center will be like a center where they'll learn the impact of the center of the youth will be to make good behaviors, well, citizen or in people have who know how to behave in the society. They are in. How will you frame that? Because that will be an impact that we have a good behavior.
Like civic engagement, like you mean like
yes, really integrated in the society, and then well, it really make a great impact in as far as young ones are concerned. Anyway, I think she was also asking about the impact generally in what we're discussing. I tended to think that, yeah, it has to be for Congolese, but it will be a kind of transitional settlement. That is a great impact. I mean, you are new, you don't know where to go, you don't know what to do, but the center will help you with all you are saying that comes in one package, how you settle in a new environment. So it will be like a good, I'm using the good well, but a good settlement in a new area. So you have a kind of like a holistic understanding of the thing, and it appeases your mind, because in a new place, you are strange, you don't know. There's anxiety, there's all kind of questions that you have in mind. But when you come to the center, it's like the center welcome you, so then it puts you really in a good way. Answer your question, your anxiety, and then you can settle very well in the society. It's a good transitional place to me too. I don't know if you have expressed it very well, but that's what it is.
I had also something on the same length wave, or on the same line. The impact would be to reduce the amount of of disoriented immigrants and to increase or to quicken the integration. That's in short, to quicken the integration process. So by that, I will explain myself. There are some people, our case, mostly Congo is threatened by the rebels. Some of our brothers and sisters who come here are running away from the conflict. They get here, they did not plan to be here. They do not know which part of the country to go. Instead of going to Montreal or whichever parts, they go to the wrong part because they're supposed to be here. They do not know the language. How are they going to navigate? So that center will help to provide some early orientation and guidance, things like where to go to learn your language, where to go to mention all what everyone before me said. I think it is really crucial in terms of offering people shelter, a welcoming center in short, to reduce. And the purpose of immigration politic in Canada is to bring people who can contribute for the economy. So when someone comes, they are disoriented, they go against that purpose of immigration policy because they are not going to be productive. They become a burden for the government. So helping people to be, helping to reduce the amount of disoriented immigrants and quicken the integration process, in short, as I said, would be also one of the goals.
That's great. You guys are throwing out all kinds. I think we could spend like hours on all of this. I want to just like really quickly kind of run through the other ones. We already threw some things in customers. I think customers are good to think about, not just like who's going to be using it, but who else. So like that last example you said, Levi, about greater positive impact, like that's something that might appeal to say like municipal government, and municipal government might be a customer that you have because you have to get approvals for the building, right? Or you want them to maybe do some funding. And if you say like, hey, we can show that we're going to have a greater positive impact by doing this, that's an impact that maybe resonates with them. And so that's sort of how customer segments and impact can be connected. And so in your customers, or like, I like to think of them not as customers, but like stakeholders, like who else is connected or involved with this? And so funders, it could be like community members who are going to attend or who are going to be part of it. It could be the neighbors are stakeholders, because if you're having a youth center and it's really noisy and your neighbors like call and make complaints, like that's going to cause headaches for you. So you got to kind of think about who are all the stakeholders in this. Channels were around like communication. So what would be some of the communication channels that might be used to connect with those stakeholders in this case? Just one or two, and then we're going to move on to the next one. Any channels, communication channels? How are you going to share about this center? How are you going to get information out?
Social media, like Cristiano said.
Love it. What else? Any other channels, communication channels?
Word of mouth as well, to the Congolese community. Like a lot of people might know people that are going to be coming into the country. So them knowing about it, they can kind of like send off the information to the people that are getting established here.
Yeah, great. Exactly. There's probably lots more, but we're not going to run into them just because of time. Problem. What is the actual problem that we're addressing here? We have our purpose and our impact, but what's the challenge that we're really tackling, or what's the gap?
I would say assistance for Congolese immigrants, specifically. Kind of like I see, like especially in Calgary, I see lots of like welcome centers, especially for maybe the Punjabi community, or like there's also, and also if you go further down to Northeast, you see like an entire shopping center as well as other welcome centers for East Asians. But I guess if you're in Congolese immigrants, you don't really see something specifically set up for you. So I guess assistance for Congolese immigrants would be, I think, one of the problems that you'd be solving.
Jolie?
Yeah, I was gonna say we would try to solve like basically our goal is to have a successful integration into the community for the Congolese people that are going to be moving here, and kind of make their life a little easier and decrease the stress level that they have to, you know, with all the things that they have to deal with getting established here.
I have just a quick comment or question.
Yeah.
I'm wondering for us here, is it that we think that in order for us to get a center, do we feel that if Congolese who are not immigrants, as an example, do they have needs, or they can, is there a way for this to service them as well? Because when I hear you speak about other communities and the other centers that they do have welcome centers, which is true, but they do have other structures within their community that kind of aid in kind of general community life. When we were doing our community mapping section before, we were saying that there isn't much of a community in Calgary to integrate to anyways, you know? And so if we had a welcome center just centered or focused mostly on newcomers, would it serve the purpose of integrating them into like general Canadian life? Or should we say a word about the community and where it's at like right now? Like, does that make sense?
I think we also don't have such a big community, and I guess there can be possibility that a whole week we don't welcome anyone from Congo here in Calgary. So it will be a multi-purpose center. We host the newcomers, but also it serves us for other purposes, as you already said, where young people can come and hang out. We can have an English center, maybe where someone comes to teach, you know, certain skills. It can be a multi-purpose centers to really be useful to cater for all of us and all our needs.
Yeah, I want us to also put ourselves at the center. I feel like a lot of us here have been in Canada for a decent amount of time, and we seem to be saying things, oh, this would be good for, I wish I had this when I arrived. But now that you're here, do you still have, or can this still serve you or do other things? I just wanted to throw that out there. Good stuff though. Julie?
Good.
I was going to add on to, are you saying like how we can put ourselves in the center of the situation? I think for the people that have already integrated into community successfully, could be the ones like helping run all these programs, if you know what I mean. Like we all have skills and abilities and we can all serve in different ways, such as like with me, since I am finishing up my nursing degree, I could serve in maybe teaching people about nutrition or even grocery shopping, like things you want to look out for, labels, you know, avoiding foods with sodium, and like, you know, teaching the Canadian food guide, and, you know, and for also families that have, you know, newborn babies or mothers that are pregnant, I can do some prenatal teaching and stuff like that to help them with the birthing experience, to make it easier for them here, you know, because they still don't know the whole, like how the hospital is set out and things that you have to get done. Like it's completely different from the Congo. So I think that's how we can put ourselves in the middle of this situation. So serving in the best way that we can and with the skills that we have.
Good. Great response. Pam, I see you sent a comment there in the chat. Did you want to say something or speak to that?
Yeah, I was just saying I like the idea about teaching proper nutrition, because like I've watched a lot of people let themselves go because they don't know which foods are like good for you or bad for you. Like they weren't taught that.
No, great point, Pam. Because honestly, Julie, like everything you just mentioned, I could use that. You know, I have kids, like learning about cooking for them and nutrition and all those kinds of things are services that we never think to look to get from our own community. I think like once we have the language, once we have like we can access services differently. I kind of feel like our community is one that tends to connect with other people rather than building things of our own. Like even the fact that we don't have a community center of like the Congolese. we'll go to the Nigerian community center for events or their parties, Ghanaian community center, but like we won't ever think to build our own thing. Or like we'll go to a church's tutoring program somewhere, but to get something directly from Congolese and things like that, I don't know. It's interesting, everything we're saying. Really good. I'm gonna pick on a couple of people. We haven't heard from you, Vince, in a while. Just something to add, something to say?
I'll throw out maybe if you want to add in the last two boxes are costs and revenues. If you have any costs or revenues you want to throw out there. Pay for this.
So I would say like fundraising and just like raising money within the community, because I understand that like everyone wants a community center, so they'll be willing to help, or even like you know, like sometimes they do like they bake like small goodies and then they just sell them like anywhere, like they're like a Genesis Center, like it's a big center and lots of events go through there. So just selling some small things, or even like flags or something that would help just create revenue that could help build the community up. Just starting at the bottom first, and then like, or even propositioning ideas to the government to get funding or other things like that, and implement a system that will help us and like work for us too.
Good stuff. Laurent? Oh, sorry, Alyssa, sorry, Laurent, just hold on for a second. Were you saying something before? I think.
Oh, I go for it.
Okay, Laurent?
Maybe what I think could be beneficial for.
Oh man, it just cut out right when you said what I think would be beneficial for that. He was on his Obama there, and then bah, technology. We'll give him a couple seconds. If not, we're gonna move on. Cristiano, did you have anything to say as you've been following this conversation? Cristiano? Awesome. Laurent, are you back?
Yeah, I'm back. I'm here.
My Wi-Fi acting up.
Okay, sorry, Cristiano. Cristiano, stand by. We'll go to Laurent first, and then we'll go to you next. But stay close to your phone there. We're gonna get you right after Laurent goes.
But I just want to say that we all doing good still. We're doing good.
You doing good?
I said we're doing good because I heard everything that you guys said. So.
Okay. Did you have any ideas or perspective, or like what's your kind of opinion on like everything? And feel free to speak. You can do English, French, Lingala, Portuguese, whatever you want to speak, man. Feel comfortable.
Ok. Pas trop. Et je voulais juste dire comme des idées qu'on a données là, comme c'était magnifique. C'était pas mal. Comme on a donné des idées qui peuvent nous aider à progresser et tout. Donc c'était vraiment ça.
Ok. Et puis pour toi, tu n'as pas quelque chose à ajouter ou bien tu n'as pas quelque chose à dire sur le sujet là? On a oui, les idées qui sont déjà là sont bonnes. Mais de ton côté là, tu penses quoi?
Puis j'avais attendu qu'il y a quelqu'un qui a parlé de cours pour genre apprendre aux gens comment préparer et tout. Puis ça aussi, c'était vraiment une bonne idée parce que je connais, il y a des gens qui ne savent pas vraiment préparer aussi, comme dans notre communauté aussi. Comme c'est pas tout le monde qui sait préparer là. Et pour moi, au moins, c'était une bonne idée. Puis surtout pour les filles et tout. Yeah.
Seulement pour les filles?
Même pour nous, les gars, parce que moi, en gros, je ne suis pas vraiment préparé. Mais après, il a préparé le foufou et tout, là, je peux.
Oh, tu peux, hein?
Yeah, oui.
Okay, c'est bon.
Yeah.
So he was just saying the ideas he was hearing is good. and he wanted to underscore the fact that learning how to cook or offering that service to people would be really useful. Laurent, sorry, back to you. Hopefully we don't get cut off.
Yeah, sorry, my Wi-Fi's keep acting up. I think, what was I saying? I was saying promotion, right? Was I talking about promoting the center?
We didn't hear anything.
Okay, I'll restart. But I think like we can like show like put posters down to like areas where Congolese people can see like, oh, this is like a nice, we can like see this community center, how it looks like, and then they can like add more people, like make like a social media platform to like to show out to show the world. And we could bring in more people, and we could like we can ask youth to do jobs, you know, like giving food, and yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
No, that's really good. Get people involved by putting up like a project plan or like a blueprint of like how big it could be, offering people the opportunity to work and gain experience in the center, especially youth. Yeah, dope stuff, dope stuff.
We didn't talk about the last two that are there at all, but we're kind of running out of time. But cost structures, I think, are pretty obvious. Just like what are things you need to spend money on? So like the building, staff. If you're going to have staff, you have to pay their wages, supplies for programs or activities. All of those things would be in the cost structure. And then the key metrics are what would you use to measure success? So that kind of touches on that evaluation piece. What are the things you're going to track or you're going to look at to show that you're being successful? So maybe it's like number of people coming into the center. Maybe it's number of jobs that people have gotten. You'd have to think about what are the things that we could track to see if we're being successful or not. And we've been through it all. Good job, guys.
Good job. Thank you, Alyssa. Props for that. That's really good.
Thank you.
We are going to wrap it up there. There's more sections to kind of this social entrepreneurship that we are gonna get into on Monday. So on Monday, we're gonna take a look at some historical examples. We're gonna like build a profile of a couple of change leaders or social entrepreneurs from the past. And then we're gonna like take a look at a couple examples from Alberta, like local examples like that, or from Canada kind of deal. So please be back again Monday. And then we'll continue to push this forward. We're getting close to the end, guys. I feel like I'm just getting to know you guys, and then it's already, almost ending. So teardrop for that. But I'll be contacting you guys still moving forward, like I said. And then if you guys have any concerns, other ideas, that'll be your opportunity to talk to me. But other than that, I should be seeing you guys Monday. Anybody not going to be there? Already know that they're not going to be there? Okay, well, then we'll see. That's 2 minutes early today instead of like 20 minutes after, like how we usually are. All right, catch you guys after.
Bye.
EK, before we end, guys, I just have an announcement to make.
Yeah.
I hope people didn't like log off already. Let me see.
No, we're all here. Okay,
perfect. So I just wanted to make a quick announcement because Nikita wanted me to collect everyone who's participating in SOS Congo. She wants me to collect their mailing addresses and then put it in a chart and get everyone's information. So I'm guessing she wants to send out something. I'm not sure, but I'll just kind of send an email like as a reminder, and then people can just send me back their mailing address so I can include it in the chart. I kind of included it in the group chat there. You can just copy and paste my email and send that to me. Yeah, that was it. Thank you, guys.
Like in terms of contact information, you mean like phone number or like what kind of information should we fill in there?
Just a mailing address.
Oh,
She wants mailing address. Yeah. She already has numbers, but she wants mailing address. So we're gonna be creating like a chart for contact information. Like I'm not sure what the purpose is, but I think she just wants to have that for in case she needs to send something.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
All right. Any more announcements?
No more announcement. Just to help Jolie. C'était Jolie, je pense. People move around. All of us. I don't have a house. Next day I will be in the north, southeast, and so on. So maybe a full package like a mailing address, email address, and all the relevant information that can help you to get hold of people when needed. That can be good.
Thank you, Levi. Yeah, that would be really helpful to get everything together as well. So you guys can include your email address and your phone number. That'll be really helpful.
Yeah.
Papa Guélo, c'est comme si tu as quelque chose de très pertinent à dire là. No, rien.
Nothing special.
Nothing special. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, no problem. All right, no, it was good to see you guys. I think we ended there, ending on time. So that's always good. And then we'll pick back up Monday.
Yeah. Okay. Have a good evening, everyone.
Take care. Take care.
Weekend.